Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of the movie The Last Samurai. Now, this stars Tom Cruise and Ken Watanabe, and I enjoy it. It's a 2003 film. It's like 154 minutes. I think it goes a little bit longer than it needs to, but it's does a good job of what it attempts to do, even though actually sitting down and kind of going through with it, I'm like, alright, because I've seen it off and on here and there when it's been on, like, the premium channels and cable as well, and it's pretty much Dances with Wolves, even though I haven't reviewed that one and haven't actually sat down and watched that one all the way through, but in Japan, you find this dude who's dealt with a lot of shit, and then he pretty much goes to the other culture, learns some shit, and tries to help out, and then pretty much acclimates and assimilates as much as possible. Though we pretty much only get the assimilation part towards the end, where he kind of like goes to the village. Because we see that this is done in like the 1870s. Let's see, 1876. We got Nathan Algren, who has been traumatized by everything that's going on, even though he's being utilized to sell pretty much weapons, and really has a lot of traumatic shit going on. Tom Cruise does do a good job of selling that and all that stuff kind of going through in the movie, as he kind of deals with like his alcoholism and all of his post-traumatic stress disorder and everything that's gone on with that. Now, it does take up a good bulk of it, and there's a lot of different kind of spots where they kind of like pick to showcase certain kind of stuff within Japanese culture, but it's almost like when you watch an action movie and you see how this person wanted to do all these set pieces and had kind of a hard time kind of stringing it together, like, yeah, I want this car chase to lead to a horse chase, or whatnot, and you're like, okay, but how are you gonna fucking do that? And then they're just like, fuck, we'll figure it out in editing or whatnot. It's like, no, you kind of want to make sure that kind of works out. It's never to the complete jarringness of just being like, Tom Cruise has now launched himself into space kind of shit. No, it doesn't go into just Mission Impossible, Top Gun kind of shit out of nowhere. But it's kind of like, alright, you're kind of doing this, that, and the other. Let's kind of go on and kind of go on with what's happening. Because sometimes going into certain aspects of Japanese culture kind of like takes away from the pacing of like the immediate kind of story that we're trying to tell here. But we see that Algren pretty much got fired from that because he was drinking and shit like that and kind of shooting off shit at this place with live rounds, and then pretty much gets brought on by his old commanding officer and this sergeant dude Gaunt, who was played by, let me see here, casting's down here, Billy Connolly, right? Yes, Billy Connolly. Sorry, they got a lot of cool other guys in here. Ken Watanabe, of course, Hiroyuki Sanada, Toranaga, and also in Endgame, he's one of the really good ones in here. And Masato Harada as Omura, he's like the industrialist kind of dude. They're trying to play off the new versus old kind of bit with like Omura needs help pretty much putting down a rebellion. That's, of course, Ken Watanabe's character. Let's see here. Katsumoto. Yeah. Yes, Katsumoto. Fuck. And pretty much Algren puts up this obscene kind of number and is like, alright, cool, we got this shit. So he kind of goes over there. Gets brought in and kind of acclimated. We see them kind of go in to the Emperor to kind of see what's going on there. And the real main crux of it is how the Emperor is viewed and how these different kind of forces are going on. I wish that more... It's almost kind of like what happened in the original Shogun. It's more focused on Anjin-san, the pilot, and Algren versus the actual machinations of what's kind of going on here. Because Katsumoto is in rebellion to... He is being a teacher to the Emperor, and the Emperor is being swayed and does not think he really has the power to go up against all these different kind of advisors he has. Omar being pretty much the chief one among them, wanting to pretty much westernize and be powerful and kind of dickwag in front of other people like other people dickwagged in front of them. I think that it would have been more interesting to... I understand what Katsumoto is attempting to do here, but yet the thing is, throughout the entirety of this story, him kind of going to the kind of conclusion of honor and the samurai way and pretty much taking his own ass out, kind of works to a certain extent. However, you then have lost the wisdom that you had that you could impart more better into the Emperor and have and guide him and everything, because you've only then got him to take care of these other people. You're then getting him into kind of like Iron Fist kind of positions, like, oh shit, kind of shit that you gotta kind of watch out for. Now, he doesn't go complete dictator mode or anything like that, but it's like, this could lead to some bad consequences down the line. And it kind of gets derailed because that's the kind of stuff that I really wanted to see, as we see that Algren kind of goes, he tries to train the army. They don't know what's really... Giving someone just a rifle, / musket kind of shit, doesn't really work out, where he pretty much tries to force one dude to pretty much kill his ass and can barely shoot anywhere near him. And he's like, God damn it. And Nomura's like, fuck it, go take out Katsumoto. It's like, alright. And it's kind of nuts because we got this general dude who was a samurai as well, and he's like, fuck this shit, I'm not really doing it, and decides to pretty much commit seppuku after the loss of this battle, where Gak gets killed. Everything goes to shit. Algren kills this one dude in this really nice red samurai armor. I'm partial to red, of course, so it's like, oh shit. But he, of course, works within the same kind of vision that Katsumoto had of this tiger that is fighting all these people, and he was like, he kills the samurai dude, and they're getting ready to go after Algren. He's like, stop. Pretty much getting him in, understanding him. So he then pretty much goes through the village, is captured there. Katsumoto pretty much goes through his stuff, pretty much has conversations with him in English. We see him, of course, having to deal with withdrawal symptoms and everything, being taken care of by the wife and family of the samurai he killed. And it doesn't really help that we get a kind of course, Dances with Wolves kind of scenario where they kind of fall for each other. However, I really feel no kind of chemistry between the actors or the characters. She's like, there's no kind of moment where you can pinpoint where she really like falls in love with him. More like that the plot demands it. At least it then goes kind of more to my Shogun comparisons as well. Whereas Marco in the first Shogun, there's really not as much there for her, and kind of just like, oh, here we go, let's see. But I even think that in the original one in the 1980s, there's at least a little bit more legwork put into it, even though I'm like, it's a little bit better, but it's not like that thing that you kind of want to put up as like the hallmark of a great kind of relationship put forward. You have more of a kind of interesting kind of thing going on in the 2024 Shogun going on there. It's like, okay, because she really doesn't like his ass, and actually asks, because she is the sister of Ken Watanabe's Katsumoto, and she asks him to actually let her end her life because of the dishonor of everything kind of going on. And she's got 2 kids. It is interesting to see the kid kind of look up to Algren as he kind of goes through the story. The eldest one, Higan. But again, there needed to be more time to kind of push that forward. There's a lot of like story threads here that needed a little bit more work or a little bit more time management to organically kind of get to that point. It's like, I don't even know why this kid really likes you that much, man. I get that they're trying to sell that he keeps losing people and it's really greatly affecting him. He lost his father. Everybody else is going off. People are dying and shit. It's like, what the fuck's kind of going on? And nobody really fucking explains it to this kid. It's like, yeah, okay. And the thing is, it's almost like I'd like them to just do the story of the rebellion and have like Algren be in the background and like kind of, not even the background, do a better kind of version like the 2024 Shogun, where they really did a great job of focusing on what was going on in the court aspects of the Shogun and Toranaga doing everything that he's doing. Now, I do like the whole thing that's going on with Uji. Of course, Hiroyuki's playing him as well, and he's just like got that asshole kind of quality, but then getting begrudging respect as he pretty much helps to teach Algren how to wield a sword, even though at first he kind of like helps the kids and kind of gets in with them, and then he's like, fuck you, man, and they start really figuring out that like, god damn, he does not care if he dies and shit. And Katsumoto also has taken his diaries and stuff and read everything that was going on. And there's this bit talking about scalping, which there's one thing that kind of happens in here that I'm almost felt like they tried to kind of, if not connect to the scalping, kind of make it kind of similar enough, but it's got a different cultural context where they pretty much like outlawed the samurai swords and the top knot as they cut off the top knot of Katsumoto's son, Nobutada. But we see them kind of feeling each other out, kind of learning a little bit about each other as they're then pretty much summoned to the palace, pretty much to give his kind of fealty to the emperor. Let's see here. Okay, before that we had the ninjas infiltrating. That was a pretty good action scene. Most of the action scenes are done pretty well here. Like the one where Algren gets captured is a little bit kind of hard to follow, but that's also because down to like it's a foggy, crazy kind of forest kind of one, so it's jumping and everything. It kind of works to the environment of what is being shown rather than it being poorly executed. The ninja one's pretty cool as we see Algren utilizing his skills that he's learned in the village to help Katsumoto stay alive from this assassination attempt, which is pretty fucking cool. Showing them kind of work together is a really... It shows, like, okay, they're in this crazy situation and they're both warriors. You would think that they're both kind of enemies. And the thing is, Katsumoto brought him in to kind of know his enemy, but finds out that he's really not. Of course, they bring up that if the Emperor so demanded it, Katsumoto would take his life, so Omura would be the one sending these ninjas. And we see that Katsumoto pretty much requests to meet with Emperor Meiji in Tokyo. Algren kind of goes off on his own, being released, kind of learning what's going on, and then of course Bagley's like, oh, look at this better trained army. Now they've got... It's really kind of funny, because they're making fun of the samurai. They're like, oh, they're wearing armor and shit, and we just see them in uniforms. And I'm like, yeah, but at least they got kind of protection. You guys just have, like, shirts and shit. I mean, we've moved past that now because of, like, bulletproof and actual kind of armor. And, you know, like, yeah, you just can't wear regular clothes. But I'm like, you're making fun of these people for wearing at least some kind of protection. And because a bow or a sword, you're not really going to get much protection from what you're wearing. They're, like, supposed to be so much better. They've got howitzers, they've got Gatling guns. It's like, oh shit. This is of course where we see the whole thing carrying sword in public. We see that the Emperor is still being pretty much utilized as a puppet by Omura and the rest, and Katsumoto is just like, fuck, I gotta teach him this lesson, man. He also met with the Emperor one-on-one as the Emperor's like, tell me what to do. And he of course is being the kind of teacher of being like, you are the Emperor. You are a god. You tell me. And it's like, listen, I understand, Katsumoto, what you're attempting to do here because of the position this kid is put into. And he's pretty much a kid, even at this point of however age he is, because he does not know how to handle this stuff, which is why you don't do this shit in this kind of hereditary kind of just like, oh, we're just going to put this person here. It's like, okay. I mean, you probably taught him all this kind of stuff, but he's like, I don't know what to do. And because being that kind of one with that kind of power is a hard thing to do. And a teacher, like, this is a hard kind of moment for a teacher to be like, you are the one that must tell us. It's fucking nuts, But I get what Katsumoto's doing here. He has to force him to make those decisions and do things like that. Of course, Omura is trying to offer Algren to take command of the army again, but of course he refuses, and he gets assassins sent at him. We get another kind of cool action scene where he's able to kind of like feel the flow and like see what's kind of coming and taking off people's hands and shit and taking them out. Katsumoto's pretty much told to pretty much save everybody the trouble and kill himself. But of course, Algren then enlists Graham and Katsumoto's men to go and free him, and they do. However, Katsumoto loses his son in the process. It's like, shit. So they then decide to pretty much do their kind of last stand. Algren pretty much bringing up Thermopylae and being like, let's fucking do this shit. He is then also given the dead samurai's armor and presented a sword inscribed with the dubbing, I am the warrior in which the old ways have joined the new, which is kind of cool. That was kind of awesome to see that kind of happening like that, and to have that kind of there, even though we see that more doing the old ways rather than the new. So he pretty much tells them, alright, let's do this shit and fucking kick this shit and make them pay for it, kind of shit. They did meet for parley, but they're like, fuck this, and they decide to pretty much bring them in close enough to utilize their swords and everything like that. So, at first, they don't really take him seriously. Omura's like, send all the people in, and we see one of the guys that was pretty much a lieutenant under the previous kind of general, taking command of certain kind of things to make sure that everything's running smoothly. However, they pretty much shoot at the samurai, and they kind of bug out. It's almost like, let's see, they're vastly outnumbered. It's like 100 versus like a couple thousand, and they're able to pretty much be like, hey, just follow them and fucking kill them. However, they do an ambush and pretty much start taking them out. They do their Algren's like, wait for the volleys, and they go in and they just start ripping it. However, that isn't, they then start getting kind of fired upon by others, and they then get to this last suicidal kind of charge. Luigi, pretty much... Luigi. Let me see. Ugio. Sorry. He's fucking gets, like, shot in the stomach and still like, bah, I got this shit. And then we see them kind of going through, getting taken down. There is one kind of weird inconsistency where Algren pretty much tosses one of his katana, and then he's got like the tanto blade, and it's in one hand, and then it's in another. I was really weird. It's not completely on the level of like Oceans with like the shrimp plate, where it's on a plate and then a bowl and then a plate again. But I was like, what the fuck's kind of going on here? It was just a weird little inconsistency that I never really had seen before. But they get taken down. Algren's still alive, but Katsumoto needs help ending his life. Of course, they're bringing up cherry blossoms and looking for the perfect blossom, as he remarks upon that as he commits seppuku. And the thing is, we had seen this going on with the other general, and Algren was aghast by it, but by this point he understands it on the cultural kind of significance of it. Let's see here. And, of course, while this is going on, like, the captain dude told everybody to cease fire and, of course, bow to them because of what was kind of going on and the honor that they had shown at him. We get, like, trade negotiations kind of going on. However, the Emperor declines them. We had seen Algren and the rest of them when they came wearing shoes as they had kind of come to see the Emperor. However, I think that he does not wear his shoes this time, and offers Katsumoto's blade to the Meiji Emperor Meiji. However, he's like, can you tell me how he died? He's like, I'll tell you how he lived instead. And, of course, this brings up the whole thing that Katsumoto was trying to do, the whole kind of tension and balance of modernizing without losing who you are. I mean, there's a good bit of being like, okay, we modernize, we kind of change some stuff up to kind of see what works and what doesn't. Like, there's a good balance between not always dogmatically sticking to tradition, but also not completely always going on the new hotness, because sometimes it just fucking sucks and doesn't really add anything. I mean, going to just all AI shit doesn't make things better. Just going from making your own website and having control over that to social media does not make everything better. Sure, you don't have to do that kind of thing anymore. However, you then lose control over certain things. Just bringing in some modern stuff that's going on that now that you could kind of bring up and understand of what could be a tension point that they would understand here. And Omar's like, fuck this shit. And the Emperor's like, eat my ass. I'm seizing all your shit and giving it to the people. Fuck you, buddy. And then we see that Graham is talking about how they don't know what really happened to Algren, but we see that he went off to live in the village. Now, I enjoyed this. I think it kind of goes a little bit more on just like, not as a balanced take on Japanese culture, more like someone's really infatuated with it and kind of like showcasing what they really like aspect-wise, which is fine, but it's kind of like, alright, okay. So they'll zone in on certain kind of stuff to the kind of detriment of the overall narrative. Like, we see a lot of stuff of Algren walking with mud on his shoes and everything, which I do think is an important point because it like links up to him changing later on and accepting what's kind of going on, going into the dress and all that. However, it takes up a lot of time. I mean, this is like an over 2-hour movie, almost approaching 3 hours. It's like, holy fucking shit. It didn't need to be that long. I kind of rather would have taken an understanding the Japanese culture of the whole tension point of modern and tradition and what was kind of going on there. I understand that they're trying to do it as Algren as the audience person and trying to get people into there to experience this time period of Japanese culture. I just think it could have been handled a little bit better. Not this is handled, like, horrendously, but it's like, okay, I get it. Alright, let's kind of move on here. I kind of want to see more of this kind of tension. Them trying to figure each other out and then figure out what to do with the overall thing of what's kind of going on. But yeah, I would still recommend watching it. It's a very well done movie of like shot cinematography, costuming, design, really showcasing the set pieces and period piece of what's going on, and it's definitely helpful in showcasing Japan and the kind of culture, at least of the time, in that kind of respect. Yeah. So if you're interested in it and everything, I would definitely recommend it. Now, this isn't one that you would show kids. Now, it's more tame than certain kind of horror and, like, action and bloody kind of stuff that we've got now, but that kind of is usually how it works out. You know what I mean? Like, when it's of the time, you're like, holy fucking shit, that's disgusting. And then, goddamn, I mean, yeah, you date yourself, but like 20 years later, you're like, that was alright. You can tell that that's kind of fake or whatnot, and just not as bad as what you could see nowadays with, like, tech or whatnot that's going on. Like, how back then, you see Texas Chainsaw Massacre or your whatnot, and you're like, that's kind of chintzy compared to the kind of stuff that you'd see of, like, Hostel and Saw and shit of that. Now, however, one's horror, slasher flick, and then the others are gone into the kind of realm of the torture porn, which as a whole different kind of thing. But yeah, I like the characters. I wish there's a little bit more done with Algren and everything like that. The most interesting kind of characters, again, would be kind of Katsumoto and the Meiji Emperor Meiji, and dealing with Omura. It's kind of the Shogun effect, where I like the 2024 one because it delved more into certain kind of characters that I had more of an interest in, while still doing a good job of making Anjin-san, the pilot, work out well as well. So, those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.